Now, I need to tell you something that might be uncomfortable to hear, but the skills that got you to where you are now in your career, they're becoming irrelevant fast. And now I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because I care about career survival and my channel's all about building your career. I'm Tariq. I'm a generative AI product and engineering director at one of the world's largest investment banks. I've got 8 patents in generative AI, and I've spent the last 3 years building AI products that are changing how large global companies work. And I'm watching as talented professionals with 10, 15, 20 years experience plus are becoming irrelevant. And it's not because they're not smart or hardworking, but it's because you're now competing against people who have those same skills, plus they're using AI. And that gap is widening every day. So I'm going to show you exactly how to close that gap. We're going to look at ways that you can use AI as of today in your day-to-day job to make yourself impactful, to start noticing a difference and start showing your seniors and leaders that you are a pro at AI. But I'm also going to give you ideas of prompts that can really help you gain value and get noticed in the workplace as well. And then we're going to look more future facing. After you've watched this video, you'll want to stay on top of the trends, and they are constantly evolving. So I'll show you how to do that as well. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Tariq, I'm overwhelmed right now. I don't have time to learn AI. And I really hear you, I do. But that's exactly why I'm showing you in this video the fastest path to relevance. This is not just going to be theory. This is not going to be complicated AI jargon. This is 5 groups of ways in which you can use prompts to stay competitive and to start seeing an impact in your job. And what people don't understand is AI isn't a nice to have. This isn't a nice to have skill that you're learning. This is just as important as email was in 2005, or going before that, Excel spreadsheets in 1995. Those eras of the technical workforce and the technical skills, that is exactly what's happening right now. But AI is the new baseline. So rather than you avoiding it, please watch this video, watch to the end, and hopefully you can start seeing how AI can actually be useful for you. Now, the first section we're going to go into is how you can use AI in your daily life. And this is what I like to call daily intelligence briefing, or the daily intelligence that you can get from AI. And this is for you to start using generative AI to help you stay on top of things, to be at the forefront. So the perception is when you're in a meeting, you're asking the right questions, the subject matter, you're not that person who's still catching up, or I haven't read the document in time for this meeting, or, looking like you're always trying to keep up. You can use AI to really get on top of that and to start being ahead of all of the asks. And this is what I call the daily intelligence brief. So what does that mean in terms of AI? So this could be using AI for very simplistic asks such as summarization. So if you've got a very large document or a series of documents, you haven't got time to read them, I just need them summarized. You can do that. And I'm going to use Gemini for most of this sort of show and tell today. You can use ChatGPT if you'd like to, but personally, I find Gemini better. There's obviously the new Gemini 3 model that's just come out as well. But when you're looking at in the corporate world, a lot of the documentation that we're presented with is a mixture of images, tables, text. And what Gemini models are very good at is that multimodality, that style of content, the multimodal is what it's called in tech speak. But it's very good at dissecting those documents and getting all the relevant information out. So I find Gemini is very good in the corporate world. And you don't even have to be gifted at writing prompts. You can tell the AI, or Gemini in this case, that it is a gifted prompt engineer. That's what I've done in the chat window up here. I said, you are a gifted prompt engineer and you've got the ability to create the most accurate and clear prompts. And these are the prompts I need right now. So in terms of daily intelligence, one of the first things I'm always asked to do, and probably you as well, is give feedback on maybe a document that the team's written, someone in your team has, or maybe you're expected to provide feedback on something, just haven't had time to go through and do that. You can create a preset prompt here to critique the given context or critique the document. And the reason why I put context here is because
it may be a document that you upload, but it may also be something that you just copy and paste. And that information is called the context. So that context effectively just gets uploaded into the chat or as a document. So you can copy this entire prompt here that just basically says that you're a critical analyst and that you're going to go through whatever context you provide with documents and then come up with a critique of that. So that already is saving me time. And also it's spotting things that I may not have spotted as well in the document or may not be looking at from the lens that I need to. So critiquing is a very popular way to use prompts in AI. And as I mentioned, summarizing as well, you can get a prompt here to summarize the context as well. And that's what I've got here. This prompt is really great. I use it all the time. It really helps me save time because what it does is it gives me the key takeaways rather than just summarizing it as a big paragraph. I end up with highlights and themes. And that's great because the best way to break information down is in themes as well. And when we're going through and maybe you're finding a topic very hard to understand, or maybe you're just not getting what someone's trying to say, I find asking AI to simplify context is great as well. So you may have a document again or something that's really full of jargon and that you just don't understand what it's saying. And using an AI to write a prompt around simplification is great because it kind of explains it to you as if it was a 5-year-old, for example, reading it. And that helps you because also you don't have to then ask people to help explain these things to you. You can get that clarity on your own and get on top and in front of what it is you're trying to do. Another great way of using prompts is to create speaker notes, and this is fantastic because if you are presenting in a meeting or you've got a summary you need to do, you can actually get speaker notes written out from the context, from the documents or information you provide. And this is great because the output is very much talking points. So it doesn't look like you're reading. The output will come out as if you are speaking to an audience with some clear insights and hooks as well. And this is great for saving time and giving you confidence as well. Sometimes if you're not confident to speak in a meeting, having speaker notes really gives you confidence as well to know that what you're saying is impactful. And creating a Q&A is another great example of using AI where say you're going into a meeting, but I want to be able to ask the right questions, or I want to set a question to give to the meeting, something that's valuable, but also that is actually relevant. And sometimes it takes you a lot of time to get to that point manually, but with AI, you can ask it to generate questions for you, or even generate Q&As if you are asked to do that as well. But generating questions specifically is quite important. I've used Gemini here to showcase what we're doing today, but you can equally just log into Notebook LM, which is a Google product. I've got another video that I'll link to where I've used Notebook LM for interview preparation and things like that. But it's a great tool, and if you come in here as an example, you can do exactly what I've just demonstrated to you here. I've uploaded all my documents on the side, and in this case, say I've got like an annual report document, something fairly large and dense, and I just want to summarize it. I can just select that document on the left panel here and then ask the AI to summarize it, which I have done in this prompt. And what's literally just a few words, not even detailed, just saying summarize the annual report for me, and then it'll come back with all the relevant information and even tabulars, which is great for me as well, because if I was going into an interview as an example, I just needed these facts for a meeting that I'm having, I've got these facts here really ready to go. So using Notebook LM is a great way of getting started with AI. Everything I'm showing you here is free as well. I've not paid for any of this. There are obviously paid versions of these, but the free versions are more than enough to get you started and comfortable with AI as well. So going back to my trusty slides to keep us on track for this video. Right, so we've talked about how you can use prompts for daily intelligence. That's the first place to start. So if you haven't started doing that, get on with that right now and you will notice a difference massively. If you want to go now, after that, you really want to start now getting into more in-depth work. So once you got comfortable with doing the daily, I would say that was very high level pieces of work with AI. You want to start getting into some noticeable change now. And this is where using AI or prompts for insights and analysis is very handy. And this is something you would probably interface with your management, and you would show them that you found these insights or you've done some trend analysis, and that is very valuable, especially for senior management. And this is where we're getting into a phase now where you're showing that you're confident with AI, but you're actually giving something insightful and valuable to the workplace. And going back to my prompts that I've created already in advance here, there are a few prompts here that I've used in the past as well that work really well. So this one here around comparing documents or comparing context. Now, this is one of the, I would say, the most common uses of getting insight is taking documents and comparing them over time. So what you can do, there's two ways to do this. You could obviously ask the AI to give you a prompt, which I've done here. It's saying it acts as a comparative analyst, and that it's going to compare whatever is given to it and start looking for matches, but also differences, and looking at then the trends over time. This is great if you're doing something that is, I would say, a repetitive document. And I've got an example of that here in, let's see, let's go to Notebook LM and look at all my notebooks. I've got a notebook here called Apple, and this is to do with all of Apple's public filings, Apple's public documents. And the reason why I chose this is because I want this to be as familiar to work as possible. So financial data or maybe public documentation is a good way to do this. But what I'm doing here is showing you that I've got these documents on the side, which I've uploaded. Now, these are all financial reports quarterly for Apple. And what I'm going to do is say my management wanted this to be researched. I'm now uploading these in Notebook LM that I've done here. And I've asked a Notebook LM to compare these. So show me the trends and insights over time, over the course of Q1 to Q4, focusing on the trends, but also qualitative insights and not just numeric insights. And what I get here is incredible. This would take you hours to do normally. And what we're doing here is seeing that there are trends over time. So you can look over at the financial trends of Apple's financial data, but then also I'm getting into trends in terms of the products, how the products are doing quarter on quarter, and also any qualitative insights here. So things going on outside that maybe have hit the news or headlines, so any lawsuits that may have impacted Apple's financials, any government decisions or regulations that have changed, especially the tariffs in the US as well. Things like this is all coming out from these documents without me having to have manually done that. And this is showing great use of AI in the workplace where you're looking at insights. So this is in the field, I would say, of comparison, comparing documents over time. That is one way in which you can use AI for insights. Another way that you can use AI for insights is, let's go down here. I've got an example of it, is spotting hidden insights. Now, this can be really good there are trends that if you dig deep enough, you can find. Or try this on your documents in the workplace. Now, this prompt is great and it works really well, especially in my sector, in the financial services, investment banking, when there's so much data that you can actually find trends that you weren't necessarily looking for. So this says here, look for text that is not obvious, look for second order effects, underlying assumptions, and that conspicuously missing information as well, because that can obviously tell you that there's a trend or something that's not being missed effectively. And this is another way you can show your senior leaders that you're using AI in ways that could benefit the company. And much like with Notebook LM, you can do exactly the same things here. So spot trends or hidden insights. I can take that prompt actually and I can run it on this document I've got at the bottom here, which is Apple's environmental progress report. So what I'm going to do is take that spot hidden insights prompt,
from here. So I'm just going to copy that. I don't need the context in this case because the context is actually the document that is being uploaded. So I've got that checked already here, and I'm just going to paste that prompt in and hit go. Let's see what comes back. Now it's laid out the assumptions from the environmental report from Apple. But what it's also done is said things that, I could use as talking points in a meeting. For example, where it doesn't really talk about the real cost of sustainable materials, but also the emission load of future AI computing, and as what is the emission load going to look like. All of these are great talking points that I could use in a meeting if I was having one on this subject. But just to show you that you can really use AI to find insights you wouldn't actually have found otherwise. And one of my favorite uses of AI now is rapid response and comms. Now, this is probably one of the most impactful ways of using AI. And not everyone has access to tools like Copilot in Outlook. And if you're in an organization that uses Outlook for email, or you maybe use Gmail or any of the big providers, but either way, using AI to help with communication is probably one of the most single ways to save hours from your day. If you spend hours just responding to emails, reading through emails, crafting sometimes politically sensitive responses, you can save at least 3 hours easily a day doing so with AI. Now, as I mentioned, you can use Outlook Copilot if you have that enabled in your workplace, but if you don't, there are simple ways you can use free tools. Now, this is going a bit step further, but I do think this will not be out of your comfort zone. It's as just as simple as logging into Gemini from Google as well, using the same exact chat interface. And where you think you can just build text and responses, you have to think wider than that now, because AI is more than that. If you probably watched enough videos on YouTube, if you're into AI, that you can build applications, you can build front ends, you can build websites. So it's not just about getting an answer to a question. And this is where it becomes very useful for you at work. Now, if you can see here, I've just said build a website that allows me to be more efficient with my work emails. And what I've asked it to do is to help me write emails from scratch or reply to existing emails, but also look at the tone and the length of the email as well. And what it's come back with here is incredible. It came back, within minutes with this interface here on the right side, which is basically my email management tool. It's great. And what the first thing you notice is it asks you for an API key. So don't be worried about this. If you log into Google AI Studio, which you can do for free with the same Google account you use to use Gemini, you can create an API key at the bottom here. And when you create your API key, you can call it whatever you want, but effectively this is just a way for Google to track how you're using the models. And there is a free tier, so I'm set up on the free tier right now, as obviously everything I'm showing you is not paid for. So you can get a good 100 requests, I think it is, a day. It could be more now, but you can use this pretty much for a day at a time and really start using it on your sort of key emails. So if I paste that in and set that up, so now I've got here a working email management tool. And just to give you an example of what you can do, if I can just take an example email here. So I just want to write an email to all my direct reports, just talking about performance reviews, telling them to actually, go and finish their performance reviews because it's that time of the year, and booking any one-to-ones with me. I want this to be a friendly email, and I want this to be kind of balanced, standard in length as well. And when I hit generate, it's going to create that email for me. And that, again, that would have taken me 25 minutes or 20 minutes to write an email, especially if I'm talking about performance reviews, guidance there. I get a baseline email, which is right here, just straight away. And you can see it's even put in some guidance, generic guidance, performance reviews,
scheduling one-to-ones, etc. This is just a very basic example of how to use it. But because I asked the AI to help me reply to emails as well, and I click on that section, I can actually paste in an entire chain and then just get a response to that as well. So this in itself, on its own, is just an absolute game changer. And this should be something you should be using. If you struggle with things like this, which are admin intensive, this is where AI can save you hours. And those hours saved, you can be using to do what I showed you previously in this video, which is all of the insights and analysis style work that you can do as well. So yeah, this is fantastic way of using AI, and I thoroughly recommend using Gemini like I have done here, and Google AI Studio to get into that as well. The next topic is automation. Now, this is when comes, I would say, further on in your journey with AI. And if you're getting to a point now where you've shown your management that, you're comfortable with AI, actually, I've used it, you've done a bit of storytelling around it, and now you're saying, right, I want to automate. You can use some of those simple prompts that I've just shown you there, like summarize. Maybe you get a data feed in every day or every week and you just want to summarize it. You can create a prompt that summarizes that data feed and then say to your management, well, I've got an automation here. If someone runs this prompt every week, we get a summary of all of these data points, all of these documents. And that is now where you're thinking about automation in the workplace. And this is where you become a valuable person again. This is where you're seen as, I am a valuable employee. I'm finding ways to streamline, workflows at work. And I'm now looking at how I can automate those, how I can use AI to save money, save time. This is basically where you start to position yourself as someone who can help take the company forwards. So start to think about all those opportunities and start to craft prompts around them. And right now you may not be able to automate those prompts, but if the prompts are there and they're working, you can work with your tech teams in future to start automating those as well and scheduling them in as well every week, or between you and your team, start running the prompt, every week and saving the results of that. So automation is really where you're going to show that you are now in a strong position to help leads. And likewise, in the future, going forward now, how do I stay relevant? Everything I've just shown you in this video will give you a massive head start with AI. It would really start to show that you are comfortable with it. You've made the behavior change. You're starting to make all of those switches in your day-to-day. And now you're going to stay future relevant. So using AI as a study tool. So if I went back into Notebook LM, you can create study guides, you can create reports, flashcards, you can even use the web here. So you can start looking at topics in your own space, whatever your corporate job is, whatever office job you have, what is your specialist knowledge area, start learning more about it. So AI will help you to do that. Not saying you have to become an AI expert, but you should know what's going on in your own field. If you're in pharmaceuticals, if you're in financial services, start using AI to learn about those areas more as well. So it's helping you train in your own specialist knowledge as well. Keep yourself relevant with AI as well, because if you're using these tools like Gemini, they automatically get updated every time a new model comes out. Start getting creative, start using the more visual side of it. If you want to do infographics for work, PowerPoint slides and things like that, start using AI in all of those small areas and you'll start to notice a big change. And you won't be seen as someone who is expensive and obsolete. You'll be seen as someone who is actually going to be one of the catalysts to take the company forwards. So you could close this video and you can go back to working the way you always worked, and maybe you'll be fine. Maybe your experience will be enough and it will get you a few more years down the line, but maybe the world will slow down, who knows? But either way, you could take 5 minutes out tomorrow and try one of the prompts that I've just shown you, and then you'll see how that will change the way you work. And experiment, adjust and try again. And I want you to just keep going day to day from there. And you'll realize in a week's time or more, you're already ahead. You're already ahead of so many people out there who have not even got started with AI. And just remember, AI won't replace you, but someone using AI will. So why not be that person who is skilled in AI? And that is you. You can do that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.